Maneko 64 here, November 15th, 2018, Thursday. This is a quick update. I won't be here too long, just about 30 minutes or so. I need to go out later on today. I'm meeting an old friend from high school in Brazil, in London, actually. Haven't seen him since 1982 when I graduated from high school. So yesterday I did an interview with Truth, Money, and Freedom, which is a new YouTube channel, and we talked about the EU, the Euro, Brexit, and someone asked me, what would make you do an emergency live stream, and I said, right now, what's going on with Brexit and all the uncertainty. And that's why I'm making this live stream. I made a video this morning. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Daniel. Yeah, I made a video this morning before the Brexit minister resigned, Dominic Raab. And funnily enough, he's not the first Brexit minister to resign. A few months ago, David Davis resigned as well. So this is quite significant. Last night as well, we had a cabinet meeting that went on for hours and hours, and Prime Minister May came out, of Downing Street and said that they agreed on something, but it transpires now that it wasn't really, an agreement. Her own Brexit ministers resigned, so things are not well. And when I made my video this morning, the pound was virtually unchanged. And right now, the pound is down 1.63%. It's at 127.80. After being above 130 earlier this morning. So that's a huge move. I've noticed as well that all this uncertainty about Brexit is putting a lot of pressure on the overall markets, even the U.S. stock market. The Dow was up 100 points when I made my video this morning. It's now down about 50, the Dow future. So, and the S&P is down 7. Gold, was doing really well up until 15-20 minutes ago, but it's now unchanged. But it's up 1.6% against the pound, so it's protecting those people who hold pounds quite well. Disappointing, but gold did quite well yesterday. So we got anyone here? Will oil prices make things worse? Well. You see, I've noticed even though the oil prices dropped a lot in the last few weeks, the price of the gas, or petrol as we call it in the UK, at the pump is virtually unchanged. So it's still fairly high. Not sure while the move in oil prices are going to have any impact on things. But right now, I just think it's important because last night when there's a lot of talk that there could be a confidence vote on the Prime Minister May's government. And that could mean, general elections, a lot of uncertainty. And at that time, the Dow was down about 250 points. And then things calmed down. She came out and said everything was kind of okay, and the Dow rebounded. So I think Brexit is even impacting the overall financial system of the world. And you might think, well, how come, the UK economy is not that important anymore? But I think we need to look more at the city of London, which is, a lot of you know, is kind of separate from the UK. And the city of London is kind of the head of the snake of the fiat money system. So if there's a lot of uncertainty to do with Brexit, the UK banks, the financial system, Europe, the euro, a lot of euro business is done out of London. It could affect things and make things very uncertain. So am I saying Brexit is going to be the black swan? Maybe not. But if there is no deal, it's probably going to create a lot of havoc in the financial system. Is that bad? I don't think so. I think the system needs to be flushed out anyway, as I've said many times in the past. Crypto markets tanked yesterday. Yeah, I saw that button banger. I've got my cryptos. I'm not touching them, just leaving them there. Uh, yeah, Bitcoin dropped below 6,000. But am I selling my cryptos? No. Am I selling my gold? No. Am I holding a lot of pounds? No. So right now, the pound is making new lows right here as I speak. It's down 1.75%. One thing, I usually don't talk about because I haven't really been doing too much trading, but I found out a couple of weeks ago, or that IG index, which is like a spread trading or spread betting firm that I use, where I get my prices when I talk about the markets. They're doing options. So last week I bought, about a week ago, I bought some puts on the British pound. And up until this morning, I was losing money. But as I'm looking at it right now, it's actually gone pot. I'm making quite a bit of money on it because it expires tomorrow, and the strike price is 127. So right now we're at 127.50. So we've gone from 130 to 127.50. I might even take a little bit of profit here in that position. Right now I'm up quite, a few £100, which isn't huge, but it's just a bit of fun to keep interest in. But it's good to see how the options, they move massively right now, because these options expire tomorrow. So it's almost like having a position in the underlying British pound without the risk. The only thing I can lose is the premium, which was less than £200 I put in. So right now I'm making about 200. So I've doubled the small amount of money that I put in there. So let's see right now. I'm going to need to keep an eye on this now. I think I'm going to run it now because the pound's looking very sickly. So we got 57 people here, not too bad. This is like a kind of an emergency live stream, deal or no deal. Basically, if there is a Brexit deal, and because the UK, a deadline to leave the EU is March 19th, 2019. Sorry, March 29th, 2019. And preferably, they'll do that with a deal with the EU. But right now, it looks like the UK government, let alone the parliament, can't even agree on how to exit the EU. So that's a big problem. We could exit the EU with no deal, which would be basically the analogy. It would be a ship in a storm without a captain, just going anywhere. But with a deal would be a ship in a storm, but with a good captain. So I think that's the problem here. Truth, Money, and Freedom's here. Yeah, I did an interview with them yesterday. They're going to send me a link. I'll publish it on my YouTube channel. It was almost an hour-long interview. We talked a lot about the euro, the EU, and other things. Hi, Aaron. Nice to see you here as well. So do you think the BOE will reverse course on rates if we have no deal? Yeah, well, I don't even think they have a course on rates. They raised it once, so I think they're going to keep it. They'll probably even cut it again, cut back to almost zero. They might even do more QE. Would you think this would be bullish for metals? T-Bomb, it was bullish for metals earlier this morning. And actually, metals are unchanged. I would suspect the Bank of England is out there manipulating gold, because they don't want the pound to go down too much against gold. See, the pound is down 1.7% against the dollar, and gold is unchanged. So if gold were to go up, 1% here, the pound would look really sickly. So that's what the Bank of England does. That's why they keep other people's gold there, to use it to manipulate the market, to keep their currency with some vestige of value. And we all know it's like fraudulent. Uh, Sanjit Neogi, disagree. UK economy is not impacting India. If Indian doctors, nurses, I'm not even talking about India. So, Sanjit, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm talking about the UK. I'm talking about the overall markets. Yeah, I'm not touching upon India right now. Uh, do you have XRP? Heard a lot about how banks are looking at it. Yeah, I mean, it's considered you know, uh, a sin to have XRP if you're in cryptocurrencies because it's the bankers' uh, currency. But I have a little bit because I know it's the bankers' crypto. But if I can make some money on it, I might as well do it. But not that much. It's very volatile, though. Ripple. Sanjit Neogi, Brexit is hardly anyone care in India. That's fine, Sanjit. So you don't have to be on this live stream. You can log off. Uh, Collidine, yeah, they do hammer gold when the pound drops a lot. I would suspect that's the Bank of England working there over time. You can see on their website that they explicitly say that they have an account where they try to control the exchange rate of the pound against other currencies, gold included. What's the situation with oil? Well, I'm not really looking at oil this morning. Oil is virtually unchanged this morning, but it has come off quite a bit in the last month. But that's about it. Randall McMurphy says, I'm going back to bed. Jeremy, is there a GDXJ equivalent in the UK? No, I don't think so. I mean, you can still do the GDXJ through your UK broker. Tom Smith, do you think the doom and gloom around Brexit is grossly overstated? I think the doom and gloom has been happening since 2008, and I think Brexit is a scapegoat. I think the weakness in the pound has been taking place since the crisis of '08. At the top in 2007, the pound was 211. Before Brexit, it was already at 150. So yeah, Brexit is just an excuse for the total. How can I say, debasement of the currency, the bankruptcy of this country. They will use it as an excuse and as a scapegoat. Yeah, things are not great in the UK, but it's not because of Brexit, or it's because we had to incur so much debt to save the banks, and we're still doing it. And future generations are still going to continue to pay a lot. To keep the banks alive, which is a shame. But maybe with Brexit, maybe they'll flush the system. That could be a good thing. Hope that answers your question, Tom. How's the collapse of Bitcoin? Well, I haven't. I saw Bitcoin and all cryptocurrencies dropped yesterday. Right now, Bitcoin is at 5,500, so it broke a key support at 6,000. But 2 years ago, Bitcoin was in the hundreds. So yeah, it's all relative. Of course, if you got in at the top at almost 20,000, you're probably not very happy about that. But Bitcoin, I think cryptocurrencies still have a future. People just need to be patient. Randall McMurphy says, packed like sardines in India. Yeah, it's a very populous country, India. I think they've got over 1 billion people. Astral student, do you think the Tories have exhibited their utter incompetence in dealing with Brexit? No, I don't think so. I think they've done exactly what they're supposed to do. for the establishment, make it so you know, seem they're making it seem that they're so incompetent, that it's so hard to get out of the EU, that people are going to give up. And I think they've done their job perfectly. That's what, Theresa May was hired to do, or chosen to do, to basically make it a dog's dinner. So I actually think they have shown great competence. You need to think. You need to think like. How can I say? You can't think. Logically in terms of politics and these things. This is exactly what they wanted. The establishment is probably, Tony Blair and people like that. They're probably rejoicing that this is happening. So no, I think they've done a great job. What's your opinion? How much longer can this facade last? Well, I think we're getting close to some kind of event. Why don't they fix their currency to gold? Well, because being on a gold standard is kind of a straitjacket to big government and the welfare state. Politicians don't like it. 1 second, Billy wants to go out, and he's like moaning here. I need to open the door. I'll be back. Come on, out you go. I just had to let Billy out in the garden. Sanjit says he's a UK citizen. Well, what I was trying to say is maybe, the Indians don't care about Brexit, but it could affect them indirectly, because if it affects all the major financial markets in the world, you can be sure that it will affect India. India is not an island or an autarky. India is dependent, on the dollar system. And if Brexit actually affects the whole system, it could be the trigger. You need to keep an eye on it, even though you might not think it's important for India. That's what I was trying to say. Oliver says, nice chair. Yeah, I mean, this chair and the sofa, they're called Chesterfields. My desk is like also part of, I bought this like over 15 years ago. It's like a reproduction, but it was cost me quite a bit of money. It was leather and the partner's desk and the captain's chair. But if you look at the same things that I bought 15 years ago, they're now more than twice the price of what I paid for them, and they've lasted a long time. So it's a good investment, I think. Sajad Khan, can Brexit trigger the next global crisis? I think so. Yeah, I think it could. It could be like the spark that triggers it. Truth, money, and freedom. We don't mind the interruption for Billy. Yeah, Billy this morning, when I first let him out earlier on, he was barking because the dog next door was out there barking. So he's been quite active this morning, even though he likes to sleep. Why did you call your dog Billy, not Charles? Well, I don't know. I never thought about calling my dog Charles. We had a Shih Tzu before Billy. His name was Billy as well. And we didn't name him Billy because we wanted to keep the same name. When I called the breeder to check if he had any puppies left, he said, yes, we've only got one left. He's a little boy, 8 weeks old. He has a name. And I said, what's his name? And he said, Billy No Mates. So because he was the last, he was all on his own. So in England we have that saying, Billy no mates. So I thought, oh, I'll keep the same name, Billy. Um, that's why he's called Billy, not Charles. Now he's knocking on the door to come back in. 1 second. Come on, boy. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come on. On the sofa. Come on. On the sofa. Come on. Up. So he's back. He's on the sofa now. So he's gone back down. He doesn't want to stay here. He's had enough of Brexit, he told me. He just wants to get on with his life, he said. Piggy, piggy, oink, oink. Hi, piggy, piggy, oink, oink. Yes, Shane Sturgis, I agree. You know, they want to, it's part of the divide and conquer strategy because, you know, they screwed up royally in 2008 by saving the banks. So they had to divide us in order to stay in power, divide and conquer, right? I agree with you. That's part of the strategy. Good point, Shane. Yeah, Billy has a lot of friends now. That's true. A lot of friends worldwide, even. Money, money. Let's see what the pound's doing now. Let's see. Oh, it's rebounded a little bit. So my option now is not making as much, but I'm going to hold on to it. I think you know, the pound could drop even further. Pound right now is at 128. It's been down as far as 127.50. The strike on my put options is 127, and it's got 1 day left to run. So it's interesting. I mean, early this morning I was losing 200 pounds on it, and right now I'm making 30. But I'm going to hold on to it. I think it could the pound could drop a lot further. Brian Mitchell looks like Mrs. May's wolf in sheep's clothing as she voted to remain. Yeah, that's what I always thought. If they really wanted, you know, the UK to leave the EU and do it properly, even though he's not an MP, they should have appointed Nigel Farage as the Brexit minister, and they could have done that by making him, you know, a lord, so that he would be in the House of Lords, and they could probably nominate him as a minister. There are ways of doing it. I'm not saying that I agree with people being a lord, but that's how they could have done it. If they really wanted to put it through, they would have had Nigel Farage negotiating with the Europeans. C Capital, I bought US dollar and gold with some British pounds. Well, I prefer gold because US dollar, you know, you're financing the central bankers, you're financing Wall Street, you're even financing the City of London. So, yeah, it's convenient maybe to have some dollars, but they're not really dollars, they're Federal Reserve notes. I'm sticking to my precious metals. And of course, I do have some pounds in the bank. You do still need a bit. Astral student, how can people protect themselves from impending serious crash in pound? Well, I've been saying, you know, you need precious metals to protect yourself. You know, that's and not have too many pounds in the bank. You know, you could do like C Capital, maybe have some US dollars, even though personally, I don't like it, but you know, it will probably go up against the pound. So yeah, maybe even some euros, even though the euro a few days ago dropped a lot as well when the pound was dropping. And what's the euro doing today? Well, the euro is almost unchanged. So yeah, the euro has done well against the pound as well. You could have some euros. J. Bonds voted for nationalism, not globalism in any way. Good morning, Deceive No More. NF could be a troll. I haven't seen him. Mike Spence, do you think silver will go up this year? I've started buying 5 kilobars of copper as well. I think copper will rise. Yeah, I think, copper, I don't have copper. Actually, well, I actually have a copper, what is it? I don't know where it is. I have a copper coin with JFK on it. I think I got it at the Statue of Liberty when I went there. I think the only copper I've got is a little bit of piping. But I think, hard assets, tangible goods will do well. So, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Hi, Jake Jones. Nice to see you here. Marina Blue. Did IMF spook the crypto market by saying that central banks around the world could issue their own crypto? I don't know. I haven't really followed that. I think this is just, volatility in the cryptocurrencies. And I think people, I said at the beginning of the year that the correction in cryptocurrencies could last a lot longer than people might otherwise think, mainly because the move up was so sharp last year. Bitcoin went from 1 to 20,000, 1,000 to 20,000, and after such a big correction that we saw at the end of last year, beginning of this year, it takes a long time for the markets to recover. Look at gold and silver since 2011. It's taking a long time. Morning, Savio. Jake Jones, do you have any Chinese or Hong Kong tails? I have seen those. I don't. I tried to buy some here in London a few years ago, and I couldn't get a hold of them. They're really nice. These are Chinese gold bars, right? Some of them have a hole in them. Some of them look like a little boat. Yeah, they're really nice. The Chinese, and they're like pure gold, 999. I would say, isn't it, Jake? Any more news about Goldman Sachs? No, I haven't heard any more. But the last thing I read is that they're cooperating with the Department of Justice, and that they might have to pay a big fine. So nothing about criminal prosecution, which, in my opinion, they should be. But as I said, like HSBC, they're protected from being criminally prosecuted by the BIS because they're too big to fail. Yeah, Jake says they're like donuts or little hats. Yeah. Yeah, the tail is a measure. I know that. Yeah. I forgot what weight that is exactly, but yeah, they're nice gold bars. It's more difficult to find here in the UK. Thanks, Sanjit. So I'll do a few more minutes because in the beginning of the live stream, this is like kind of an emergency. Well, not emergency. Just wanted to update on what's happening with the pound. I think it's important for the overall markets. It could be, how can I say, a spark that triggers more uncertainty in the markets. We've had the Dow has dropped 900 points this week already, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Today it was up 100 when I made my first video. Now it's unchanged. The pound is down like 200 pips, 1.6%. So why has that happened this morning? Well, because last night people thought things were fine. You know, Prime Minister May had done a deal with her cabinet, but lo and behold, this morning her Brexit minister resigned, Dominic Raab, R-A-A-B, and that's not good. You know, so it could be that there's no deal. You know, time's running out. The UK government has to get a deal through Parliament by March 29th, 2019. And Dominic Raab, he's only been a Brexit minister for a few months, because if you remember before, David Davis, who was the minister, resigned. So this is really bad sign, and that's why the pound has turned around so much. Monad Wisdom, yeah, she is addressing Parliament today. Yeah, if she you know, it could crash the pound even more if she resigns. You know, we could have the prospect of a general election, even, you know, if there's a vote of confidence in the government. And can you imagine that's a lot of uncertainty. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Bitcoin's been wild, Jake. I was surprised. It was a huge move yesterday, and it's continued to drop. Right now, we're at 5,500. And Ethereum as well. I have a little bit of Ethereum, not much, but that's dropped quite a bit as well. And all the other altcoins have dropped quite a bit. But as I said yesterday in the interview that I did with Truth, Money, and Freedom, just like Bitcoin was down over 10% yesterday, it could be up 10% tomorrow. So I think you just need to hang on tight and batten down the hatches, so to speak. So that's it for now. I'm going to keep an eye on the markets as well as I can. I need to leave now. I'm going out today. I'm going into central London. I'm actually meeting a friend of mine from high school in Brazil. I haven't seen him since high school. And we're going to have some lunch. He's visiting London, so I need to get the train in a minute. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I wish you all a great day or a great rest of the evening if you're in Asia. And take care, everyone. Bye.